Whether you know it or not, we all have a personal brand. Just 15 years ago, personal branding was something reserved for public-facing professionals with huge PR teams behind them. We're looking at people like celebrities, politicians, sportsmen, and authors. But the onset of social media and the internet has completely flipped that upside down. Whether you're a student, employee, volunteer, or you're trying to start a business as a creative, freelancer, or entrepreneur, it's become more important than ever to create and maintain your personal brand. We live in a world where after meeting us, finding our work, seeing our art, or hearing our name, people's first instinct is to type it into Google or some social media platform, which is why we seriously need to consider what they'll find and how we'll come across to them. Whether you have a date, a job interview, or you're pitching to a potential client, your personal brand is what will set you apart from the crowd. In today's episode of The Creator's Guide, we'll introduce you to the world of personal branding by sharing what personal branding is, why personal branding is important, as well as giving you 5 things to consider when building your personal brand. Hi, my name is Shakira and welcome to The Creator's Guide, South Africa's guide to doing business in the cultural and creative industries. The Creator's Guide is put together by that network with the aim of giving the creative community practical information on how to navigate their way through the business side of the cultural and creative industries. This video will form part 1 of the Creator's Guide mini-series around personal branding and will focus on introducing you to the pillars that make up your personal brand. In today's video, we're going to cover discovering your brand story, finding your wow factor, identifying your niche, the importance of authenticity, and finally, why consistency is the biggest factor to personal branding. Jeff Bezos, who's the founder and CEO of Amazon, once said, "Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room," and we couldn't agree more. You might think that you have no control over how people perceive you. But if you put in the time and the effort into crafting your personal brand, you'll be able to contribute to what people say and think about you, both as a creative professional and as an individual. Another great definition is from a 1999 book titled Be Your Own Brand, where the authors describe personal branding as a perception or emotion maintained by somebody other than you that describes the total experience of having a relationship with you. If we take this definition, we can understand that everything about you forms part of your personal brand, from the way that you dress, talk, and present yourself, to the visual aesthetic and messages portrayed on your website or social media. As an example, think about 2 separate graphic designers, both with the exact same experience, rate, and skills. The only difference is that one dresses in a suit and tie every day, and the other one prefers to be more relaxed and works in jeans and a t-shirt. Even though they do the exact same thing, the only thing that sets them apart is their personal brand. How clients perceive these 2 people will most likely be very different, despite their ability to get the job done equally as good. The same goes when someone lands on your Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn page. The perception they get after the first few seconds of scrolling through your account is your personal brand. You build your personal brand through everything that you do, whether big actions or small decisions. Many creatives and artists believe that their art should be enough to speak for itself, that it's enough to secure them clients, grow their online following, and help them build a reputation. While this may have worked 10 years ago, it's no longer the case. So let's look at why personal branding is so important. While it's great to see so many people embracing their entrepreneurial spirit, the freelancing community in South Africa is bigger than ever. That means that you're competing with thousands of your peers who are also dancers, photographers, graffiti artists, and writers. Your personal brand is what helps you stand out from the crowd. The creative industries are becoming more and more about what you stand for, your values, your beliefs, and what you can offer that nobody else can. A personal brand helps you package and portray these messages. It gives your audience the ability to trust you and can establish you as a thought leader within your industry. If you've got a brand separate from yourself, this is particularly important because people are more interested in following other people than they are in following impersonal brands such as your business or design page. Elon Musk, for example, has more Twitter followers than 3 of his companies combined. The same goes for the owner of Virgin, Richard Branson, and our very own South African radio host Thando Tabete, whose Instagram following is way higher than that of her underwear line Tabooties. Think of yourself and your art as a product that needs packaging. If you imagine toothpaste, for example, everybody probably has a go-to toothpaste brand, even though they all do the same thing. Your personal brand can have the same effect for your work. Kelly Halen, who's an international art director, once said, "Our best-selling exhibitions have without fail been those where the artist has a decent social media following, posts regularly, and engages in an authentic way with their followers. This shows us that clients and potential collaborators take things like our online brand into consideration when deciding who they work with." Now that you understand what personal branding is and why you should care, let's look at 5 guidelines that you can follow in order to build your own personal brand. Number 1, find your brand story. We know that this sounds unclear and up in the air, but if you don't know what your story is and which parts of you want to share with the world, your personal brand may come across looking messy and unclear. Storytelling is more important than ever, with many branding professionals citing the story behind your business is just as important as the business itself. To help with the process of finding your brand story, think about a few key questions. Why do you do what you do? What skills, qualifications, or credentials do you have? What are your passions and interests? What are your core values and what do you believe in? And finally, what do you stand for and what do you stand against? Once you've thought about the answers to the questions that we just mentioned, the next step is to start piecing the different elements of your personal brand together. In order to do this, ask yourself a different set of questions. Things like, what is your vision for the future? What do you want to be known for? And think beyond your art. What else do you want people to know about you? Someone like South African celebrity Nomzamo Mbata is known for being an actress, but she's also known for being a human rights activist. What is your brand mission? Think about, why do you want to build a personal brand? What is your purpose and what do you want to accomplish? Next, find your brand message. What key messages do you want to give your audience? What are the things that you want to consistently remind them about? In order to guide this, ask yourself, if there was only one thing you could leave your audience with, what would that be? One message. Finally, think about your brand personality. What are some of the personal characteristics from your own personality that you can include into your brand? Do you want to be seen as a very sharp professional brand? Or do you maybe want to be more adventurous and quirky? Which parts of you can you inject into your brand? Once you're able to answer these questions and you've crafted your brand story, you'll be able to use it to make decisions like what to post, what not to post, what to say, what not to say, or which organizations and projects you should and shouldn't get involved in, because you'll know what aligns with your brand story. Number 2, find your wow factor. This section refers specifically to finding how you are different from your competitors and positioning you in a way that showcases your unique elements. Your wow factor is something that not only makes you stand out from your competition, but it's something that makes you stand out, period. What makes you special and unique is already there. It's part of who you are. You just need to find it, clearly define it, package it, and then communicate it. In order to do this, you need to do research into your competition to find out how it is that they're positioning themselves within the market. Look at the social media pages of other creatives and artists and ask yourself things like, what makes them special? What messages and values come across on their pages? And what do they offer their clients that nobody else can? Once you've done this, think about where you fit into that market. You want your wow factor to really stand out and to be over and above what your product, service, or skill set is. Later on in this video, we'll talk more about authenticity, but know that your wow factor is internal and not external. It comes from the most authentic parts of who you are. Number 3, identify your niche market. Trends for the next decade everywhere depict that niche markets are the future. The sooner we accept that not everyone is our ideal client, the sooner we can hone into the people who really matter. Keeping your focus on a specific target audience will help you to know what type of content to create and will help others define you. A good place to start when thinking about your target audience is to develop what we call the perfect client profile. In order to do this, think about things like your target audience demographic. What is their age, gender, location, education, relationship status, income, profession, and other things that affect the demographics? Then think about your target audience's desires and aspirations. What is their desired future? What are their dreams, goals, and aspirations? And what do they care about? Finally, and most importantly, think about your target audience's pain points and challenges. Ask yourself, what do they struggle with? What is preventing them from achieving their goals? And how can you help them? Once you've figured out the type of client or audience you want to engage with, think about where you'll find them. Join Facebook groups that talk about your topic, follow the right hashtags on Instagram, find Twitter lists with like-minded people, and of course, attend relevant events. You ideally want to keep your message and your content as consistent as possible within one niche topic so that you can become memorable within your target audience. The more focused and narrow your brand, the easier it will be for people to remember you. And then, when it comes time to hire someone with your skills or speciality, they'll easily remember you as an expert in that field. It may seem too narrow or confusing, but if you try to be liked by everybody, you will attract nobody. Not everyone that finds or sees your message will resonate or even like you, and that's okay, because all you need to focus on doing is finding your perfect clients. Number 4. The importance of authenticity. Consumers and customers have more access to information than any other time in history, which is why our expectations of brands and service providers has changed so much. Your followers, clients, and supporters all expect a level of honesty, integrity, and authenticity when dealing with you. Your personal brand should not be a persona. It shouldn't position you as something that you're not. It should rather purposefully and strategically showcase the most authentic parts of who you are to your customers and your followers. Your personal brand should be a true representation of your skills, your passions, your values, and your beliefs. While you're trying to find your brand story, identifying your niche, and finding your wow factor, it can be really easy to put forward the ideas of ourselves that live in our heads, but it's extremely important to be realistic. Take the time to self-reflect when you're crafting your brand and make sure that you'll be able to live up to what you're putting forward. Maybe your aim is not to be a celebrity or an influencer, but just to secure clients and get your art noticed. But having an inauthentic personal brand could really make people lose faith and trust in you. Number 5, consistency is key. This is probably the most important tip of them all. You will build a more impactful personal brand once you're consistent in your brand's image, tone, and messages. You want to market yourself in a way that's easy to remember, and the only way to do that is to consistently reinforce your messages. We will expand on how to implement consistency into your online platforms in our next videos on personal branding. But for now, it's important to understand that you need to be consistently pushing messages that set you apart. Decide on which personality traits you want to share, how you will engage with your audience, the way you dress, the language you use, how you want to represent yourself, and then commit to those things. Consistency is key. Once you know what your brand is about, allow this to guide your journey to success. A personal brand is a lifelong project that's always changing and evolving. Even the experts who work on the biggest brands in the world say that there's no hard and fast rules to building the perfect personal brand. Just like there's no hard and fast rules to being the perfect person. But these will provide guidelines and help you with the first steps in order to understand the theory behind building your personal brand, especially if you're breaking into the freelance creative community. Know that to have a personal brand that rises above the rest, you're going to have to fail. Your brand will grow from trial and error, showing you what messages work, what messages don't, how to deliver them, helping you find who you are. Don't shy away from this. Instead, take your audience on the journey with you. You'll never achieve great branding unless you push past your comfort zone. The very best brands were born from trial and error and not instant perfection. Always remember that you are your brand. No matter what your job is, no matter what project you're working on at the moment, or what situation you happen to be facing today. All we have is our reputation, and our reputation is our brand. And that's it, an introduction into personal branding. Remember that this video is only part 1 of the Creators Guide mini-series around personal branding. Future videos will talk to you about how to implement your brand online and the strategy behind your personal brand. Remember to adequately self-reflect in order to better understand what you want to accomplish, and good luck! The next video comes out on the 25th of Feb and every 2 weeks after that. If there are any topics that you would like us to cover, please feel free to drop them in the comments below, or you can check out our website at www.that-network.com. Please do subscribe, share this video with anyone who you think could benefit from it, and give us a follow on social media at @that_networkza. See you on the 25th.